What is up, and welcome back to another episode of So There's That. I am your hostess, doing the mostest, Kevon, and we are here with Women's History Month, Women in Film celebration again for the second Wednesday in a row. Now, you know I had to do it up for my girl Foxy Brown, okay? I don't have like traditional afro wigs, and my hair is currently braided down. I wasn't gonna wash it to put it in an afro, you know what I'm saying? But I had to go and pull out one of my oldie but goodies back when my hair was blonde, and I rocked this wig all the time when I didn't feel like touching up my roots and stuff like that. So I had to come with a little afro-ish, with a little shoulders, a little zhuzh for everybody that's watching, because Foxy Brown is literally one of the flyest, dopest, sexiest women in like film history, and that's regardless of ethnicity, race, whatever. Like, to me, I feel like Foxy Brown has transcended blaxploitation from when this character first was presented to us by Pam Grier to now, like, everybody knows who she is. And I remember December 2023, I was actually able to film a movie that was like kind of based on Kill Bill. But my character was inspired by Foxy Brown. And if you're familiar with the history of Foxy Brown, the character and the stuff that she did in film, specifically like blaxploitation and characters and movies that were inspired by her, which I'll get a little bit more into how big she actually is in the end. But her character actually inspired movies like Kill Bill and set it off in the way that women are portrayed in action movies. So I had to get on here, you know, no hoodie today, no hat. It's us. We're here. We're honoring just being sexy and being a woman in film, and just honoring being able to be sexy and beat somebody's ass at the same time. Like, ¿por qué no los dos? Like, that's literally who and what she represents. So for those of you who are not familiar with Foxy Brown, this film came out in 1974. It's an hour and 32 minutes, and you can find it for free on Tubi. So that's where I watched it. It wasn't that many ads interrupting it at all. I was just able to watch and have me a good old time, and then also add some stuff to my list. Like, Tubi got some stuff. Like, Tubi, quick segue, Tubi is a place where like micro budget filmmakers and small filmmakers can go to just, I don't want to say necessarily practice, but it is a great space, especially for Black filmmakers and filmmakers of color, to put their shorts together, put their features together, put their shows together, and submit it to the platform and be able to watch it, get some feedback, and just continue to get real world experience in directing, writing, producing, etc. Everything that comes together to bring a story to life. So just wanted to plug Tubi for them. I'm a supporter of Tubi, so you're not gonna get no Tubi slander from me, okay? So Foxy Brown, what is it about? So a sexy, voluptuous woman named Foxy Brown is on a rampage when her boyfriend is killed by a government agent. They say a government agent, but it's really like some drug dealing stuff, right? Using her body as a tool of attraction and her afro and her gun as a deadly weapon, it's up to Foxy to avenge her boyfriend's murder. The genre is action, crime, drama. The writer and the director is Jack Hill. The cinematographer is Marquard. The set decorator is Charles Pierce. The costume designers are Ruthie West, Lynette Bernay, and James M. Forge. The composer is Willie Hutch. And the cast includes Pam Grier as the titular Foxy Brown, Antonio Fargas as Link Brown, Terry Carter as Dalton Ford / Michael Anderson, Kathryn Loder as Katherine Wall, and Peter Brown as Steve Elias. So let's talk a little bit about what blaxploitation means. So you don't get blaxploitation cinema without exploitation cinema. And exploitation cinema was a way for white filmmakers to produce and film low budget but high risk films that tackled a lot of heavy themes that were going on in the world. Where blaxploitation came in, which kind of boomed and soared in the 1970s, is Black people wanted to see themselves in these films outside of being victims, outside of being slaves, outside of being the maid. And so in blaxploitation films, a lot of the signatures in those films are fighting styles, which combines street fighting as well as martial arts. And Black people just have a really close relationship with Kung Fu movies. I remember posting underneath on Instagram where I talked about, like, in Chicago, there's a very strong, like, Black and Chinese connection, and a lot of Black people who just taught themselves Chinese because we were watching the movies. Black people taught themselves Japanese because we like anime. And so as you saw blaxploitation come out, and you hear like a lot of the like and pow and all this other stuff, when you look at it from a bird's eye view, it's very similar to some of the fighting styles that you would see in movies like later, as far as like Jackie Chan's Rumble in the Bronx. And I think like that is a really good movie that kind of is like one of the grandchildren of blaxploitation fighting styles and a blend of both cultures. And so blaxploitation was born because we were like, we want to beat ass too. Like, we want to be walking around in our bell bottoms, in our platforms, with our afros, and beating people with belts, beating people with trash cans, and we're lead investigators, or we're undercover agents, or, you know, we are like martial artists. And that's where this was born. Another way that you know blaxploitation films, you don't even got to be looking at the TV. The music style, like boom chicka like it's the signature sound, and I love how that sound is there to tell you like something badass is about to happen. Somebody about to get their ass beat. Somebody's getting like tailed or followed. Like something suspicious is happening, but you know it to be a blaxploitation film. You don't have to be looking at the TV. As soon as you hear like that womp 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 in the background and that tick 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 ding, like that is literally it. And so if you didn't know necessarily the term, but as I'm explaining this, you are thinking of films that you're like, oh wait a minute, I think I kind of know this, then you were watching a blaxploitation film. Some more modern day ones would be movies like Pootie Tang and Undercover Brother, just to be specific, like things that's in like the 20th century, like late like 1990s, early 2000s, in the 21st century and stuff like that. So if you're unfamiliar with them, like Shaft was another one. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. There's so many. Pam Grier is in so many of them, but her role as Foxy Brown just like launched a movement with women, Black women first and foremost, because she is a Black woman. She looks like us, so we're gonna connect first. But then with just women in action films from then on out. Okay, so obviously just talked about the music, the opening music and the outfits and everything is a sign of the times. I do love watching films, older films, because it feels more technicolor. This may have been around the time where they were trying to reduce some of the vibrancy in the color grading as far as editing and post to make things look more natural of what you would see with your own human eye. But I just love how if the outfit color was orange or red or aqua or green, it was like really popping against, you know, stone walls or white backgrounds or brown cabinets. And so I just really love the nostalgia of what they were able to do with the camera back in the day without having all of the equipment and the technology that we have at our disposal today. So really enjoy looking at that. I already talked about the fighting style, but before I get into a little bit of story, you know, just a quick little trigger warning. It's not a lot, but there are, you know, some N-words thrown around a couple of times by non-Black people, some derogatory language aimed at women or about women as they're speaking about them. In turn, there's also some words being exchanged from the black characters to their white counterparts. I mean, I hate to say it, but it was just kind of like the times and the way that people pushed films. But I will say, like, if you're somebody like that's super adamant of like, no, I'm not gonna watch a movie where white people are calling black people the N-word, definitely respect that. But if you're somebody who constantly recommends Django Unchained, then I think you're gonna be fine. I haven't even seen that movie, but for me, I kind of fall somewhere in between. I just feel like if it's unnecessary, I probably won't watch it. But it wasn't too much to make me turn it off. And I watched Foxy Brown as a kid, but now with my more mature mind, y'all know how when people get older, all of a sudden they start shitting on all the movies and stuff from like back in the day. And it's like, let your younger self like hold that thing to you. You don't have to choose misery. You know what I'm saying? And so my older self was just like, if I met Foxy Brown as like a 35-year-old woman, would I have watched it? I probably would have been a little bit uncomfortable. But when I was a kid, like everybody was around me saying the N-word. I don't know, like when I was a child, that's just kind of like how I consumed it. And so I just consumed it in the way that it is, and I just didn't want to allow those few things. And I promise you, like, it's not a lot at all. This movie really platforms her as being a badass over any derogatory thing. So just want to say that first and foremost. But I chose this film because it really platforms that trajectory of women in film, especially black women being leading ladies in action films. So we got all out of the way, okay? See, look, women's history. Gotta give you that history, you know what I'm saying? Last week was Jane Fonda. Okay, this week is Pam Grier with Foxy Brown. Look, we're doing the things. So Link is Foxy Brown's brother, and he is doing drugs, selling drugs. The drugs got him. He do not have the drugs. So we started off with a hit being taken out on him, and he's calling his sister to help him get out of trouble. So she's smoking him on home, and she's like, I don't know what the hell you into, but you're not going to be bringing that up into my house. So you need to figure it out. You need to get your shit together, okay? Get a job, because I'm not going to be taking care of you for forever. Now, I don't necessarily want to use the word triggering, but the plight of being the oldest and being a woman and being the oldest, terrible. Like, why are we always taking care of people? So out the gate, that's kind of like what's happening with Link and Foxy. Well, Foxy's man is one Agent Ford, okay? And she's like, listen, Link, you need to get your shit together, because I'm going to be going out of the country with my man. And when I get back, you better have a plan. So Foxy goes to the hospital, and he just came out of surgery. So he had plastic surgery because he was undercover for a drug operation, specifically the muscle of the operation that helps protect their people from getting long sentences, or just getting them out of jail by being in with like judges, being in with law enforcement, congressmen, stuff like that. So what I love, and we're gonna bring this up later because it was a controversial thing back in the 70s, but what I love is when she goes into the hospital, right? His head and everything is all covered up, and he's sleeping. And she's like, oh, I'm gonna wake my man up. We're gonna get a little freaky deaky, okay? I wanna get freaky with you. And so he's like, because he's like, oh, I'm having me a good old dream. And he finally wake up, and he's like, babe, we're in the hospital. And she was like, I mean, I brought you flowers, and I brought you other things. And so they're in there. Doctor comes in, and his boss comes in as well. They take all the bandages off, and they give him his new name of Michael Anderson. Now Foxy, a little freak, she was like, I like your new face. I think I might miss the old face, but I know one thing that ain't gonna change. And he was like, ew, and I just love that. It's like a small little piece of like black love, and just a small piece of just sexuality, and really loving your woman, and not looking at her and being like, have some decorum and act like a lady. Like, no, they're just two people who are really into each other, and it's being shown on TV. Like, it just is what it is. So I really love that. Now, as you're watching the characters, and we go over to Kathryn and we go over to Stevie, as they're having their conversations, we realize they were the ones who was trying to kill Link. So apparently Link had a huge stash get raided by Miss Agent Ford, and the police, what do you call the word? Oh my God, I'm losing things. The police confiscated, Jesus Christ. The police confiscated all of the drugs, which was worth $20,000. So Link is hiding out because he's like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. He got his girlfriend, he called her, he was like, babe, don't say nothing. And she's like, I'm not gonna say a thing, Link. You know I'm here for you. I'm your ride or die. Like, you know, because they just be high all the time. Literally, that was her the whole time. So Foxy ends up coming home. She's bringing Michael home, and everything is looking all good. Now, I don't understand why she didn't think this through, because Link already knew that Agent Ford was her man, and the newspaper said that he was dead. So then you come up in the house with this other man and you're looking all really lovey-dovey. Now, Link may be high all the time, but Link was connecting some links and realized, I think I might be able to get out of this situation if I let the people know that Ford is not dead. And what does he do? What a junkie would do. Sell out your family to save your own skin. So he ends up contacting Kat and Stevie and them, and as they were preparing to pack their bags and get ready and go out of town, it was a whole Boys in the Hood moment. They pulled up, saw him in the street, he tried to run, and he got shot up in the back. And Michael Anderson, not but 2 days outside of the hospital, died in Foxy Brown's arms. So Foxy Brown, she get up in the house, and not my dog moving my green screen, go around. So she goes up in the house and she's just like super devastated and everything like that, and she sees a picture of the article with Ford on the news clipping. Now, Ford was looking real Malcolm X-ish. I don't know if they did that on purpose, but he was looking like Malcolm X. But she saw like little drawings on there, and she realized like Link was trying to like put two and two together, and she realized Link is the one that sold her man out. So she goes over to Link's girlfriend's house and she's like, oh my God, Link, like, oh my God, open the door. Michael's been killed. Like, oh my God, Link, I need your help. Like, so he's like, okay. He's telling his girlfriend, hide the dope, because they mixing and smoking. And soon as he took that chain link off, baby, she let the chopper sing. She let the chopper sing up in there. Now, I'm not even gonna hold you. I would have killed my brother. I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry at this point. Like, at this juncture, I don't know sober you. I only know the you that's gonna continue to disappoint me and put my life in danger. And not only did my boyfriend get killed, but I was outside too. I could have got killed because of you. So, what you finna do is you finna come up off this name. And he's like, no. So she shoots him in the ear, because we ain't playing no games. You finna come up off these names, okay? And you better hope I figure out who it is. Otherwise, I don't care what my mom gotta say, you're going to be dead. She's gonna be burying you, and honestly, I don't care. So Link comes up off the names because your sister is not playing. At this point in time, she comes up with the idea to go to Kathryn to be hired as a prostitute. And she just comes up in there and was like, look, I already know what you do in your operation. Like, I'm willing to do whoever, whenever, wherever, as long as I can earn your trust. Like, what's up? And this is really dangerous. It's dangerous because Foxy Brown is like known in her neighborhood and with the Black Panther organization and stuff like that, but like, she is not a cop. So you're going undercover as a woman, as a black woman in this ring where you could die. And honestly, that's not even the worst thing that could happen to you. She got a bomb ass body, and you know, during this time it really was like, oh, let me get a taste of that brown meat or whatever, or oh, do you think you can handle you a black gal, and all types of other 70s talk or whatever, dynamite or whatever. So it was very dangerous of her, and she goes on this journey to seek revenge for Michael Anderson. Now, what happens towards the end of this? Go watch the movie. Go watch the movie. Highly recommend that you watch this film. It's just really just uplifting for any woman watching it, and I think that it's a testament to what it looks like and what it feels like to gain that power back, especially when you're surrounded by a bunch of bigots, a bunch of people that are sexist, misogynist, and things of that nature. So what she actually did and how the film actually ends is so epic. I think the point that is made is still relevant to today, and it's why I chose this movie in the first place. So there's that. Okay, now let's talk about some of the history of it all. Okay, boom. What did Pam Grier, aka Foxy Brown, do for redefining black female representation? So I'm going to be reading from some notes because there was a lot of stuff going on. I wasn't going to memorize it, and I didn't want to like flub up any of the words or any other facts. So Grier's character, Foxy Brown, became a symbol of the liberated black woman. So breaking away from the mammy look, when at one point it was just people hiring like more heavyset black women in film, or even if they hired ones who had like desirable, and I use that in quotes, desirable bodies, they'd still be in these frumpy clothes, maid outfits and stuff like that. All of her outfits was like hugging the breasts, her belly was out, jeans was tight, and you really got to see that thing, and you really got to see a black woman own it. And it wasn't in a way that somebody was taking this from her or making her feel less than because she had big breasts or because she had a big ass and a tiny waist. So it really just sparked a lot for women to just stop hiding themselves, and for black women to say, you know what, this is my body, I can dress however the hell I want, and I own this and not you. So that was one of the things that her character did. Next, just embracing female power. So talking about the combat skills and combining martial arts as well as street fighting. Like, you're really seeing this woman out here beating everybody up. Like, what did Whitney Houston say? I don't fight, I beat bitches up. And not only is she out here doing her kicks and her flips, but she's also hitting you in the face with a painting, a bar stool, a chair, and whatever she can get her hands on, baby, because we are fighting. We are fighting. And so she just became this symbol of strength and this symbol of a black female action superhero, basically. And even to this day, you're still gonna find women on Halloween dressed up as Foxy Brown. You go to a 70s themed party, you're gonna find women dressed up as Foxy Brown. Like I said, I just did a character that was inspired by Foxy Brown. She's going to live forever, and that is the beauty of this character and the beauty of this film. Already just being iconic, Foxy Brown is considered a cornerstone of the blaxploitation genre, known for its bold cinematography, vibrant costuming, which I already talked about, solidifying the film and its star, Pam Grier, as a pop culture icon. Pam Grier was literally just here last September. I think it was for like HorrorCon or something like that. I wasn't able to go. I had something else going on that weekend, but like, her name will live forever. She is iconic. There's not a single person on this planet that did not want Pam Grier, that didn't want to be Pam Grier, that didn't want to be near Pam Grier. Iconic. Iconic. Now, earlier I mentioned there were some controversies, okay? While celebrated, and how the film challenged the status quo. The character also faced criticism for potentially entrenching objectification of black women. Despite this, Foxy Brown remains an archetypal figure of the 70s and a symbol of black female empowerment. So let's talk about the controversy of it all. There are still women to this day that lean into respectability politics and what man is gonna want you if you dress like this, and you should have more self-respect for yourself, and how dare you're asking for it, because if you didn't look or dress like this, then it would be a certain way. What I love about Foxy Brown's character, and I'm gonna just say it, I'm gonna say it raw how it is, because I think this is what women need to kind of just like activate inside and activate their own identities and take a lot of things back and just drown out the noise of respectability politics, especially coming from other women, because most of the controversy that she received about her body and about her image were from black women. Okay, in this film, Foxy Brown weaponizes her femininity in order to infiltrate these organizations. So what do I mean by weaponizing her femininity? Across history, I mean, the reason it took so long for people to believe that women could commit murders is because they were like, well, they're women, they're weak. No, they can't do that. Oh, she's too pretty to do that. Or, oh, you're just a pretty face, just show up. Close your mouth. What is it? Be seen and not heard. This was like the whole thing, and a lot of people still believe in this right now. So you see this woman and she's dressed provocatively, she's dressed sexy, she's dressed how she wants to dress because she owns her body. But because she knows that people will look at her and see black and see woman and just only look at her for the outside and never question her physical capabilities or her intellectual capabilities, she was able to slide right in. Like, they did not question her at all. She walked in and said, hey, I want to be one of your whores, and they were like, ooh, a black girl, we can get another one up in here. Didn't question nothing. Didn't question nothing. Meanwhile, she was able to get through, beat y'all ass. She know how to fly a plane. She out here doing all of the things because you never stopped to think that she could be more than what she looked like, or more than the physical pleasure that she could provide you. And that is Foxy Brown as like symbolism. You see a lot of cop shows, especially cop shows in the 90s and the 2000s, where these women were wearing these big ass suits and these button-up shirts that hide their breasts and these clunky ass shoes and all these other things. And it's so weird that we went backwards, and there was a lot of FCC crap going on in the 90s and the 2000s. And so to see a woman and a character like Foxy Brown be the symbolism of being strong and being sexy and being all the beautiful things that you are, I'm going to continue to quote Interview with a Vampire, because that line is perfect. Be all the beautiful things that you are. And that is what Foxy Brown symbolizes. And so you look at WNBA players, and I think I mentioned this either in 9 to 5 or in Black History Month with one of the movies, but look at the WNBA players, the way they were dressing in the 90s and the 2000s and the way they dress now. It was like you had to hide your femininity and hide just feeling sexy in your own skin just to make people respect you more, or to value your intellect and respect you as a human being, versus only seeing you in the skirt, in the heels that you wanted to wear in the first place. So it's characters like Foxy Brown that can pioneer these movements, that can pioneer Lil' Kim on that iconic cover. Like, regardless of what people think about it, you know what I'm saying? Look at how Queen Latifah was dressing, MC Lyte and stuff was dressing, and then you come out with a Lil' Kim. It's just like Pam Grier was that, and she inspired that same confidence in many women across every single decade afterwards. And I promise you, if you talk to Lil' Kim, if you talk to Nicki Minaj, if you talk to Cardi B, if you just really get to the root of all these things and just ask them to name who is what, it's going to go back to Foxy Brown. It's gonna go back to Foxy Brown. And that is a beautiful thing. It's historic, and she's just amazing. She's iconic, and I stan. So, with all of that being said, I'm gonna wrap up this episode. As always, like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave comments in the comments box below. Let me know your stories about when you first met Foxy Brown or when you first saw Pam Grier in a movie. Would love to know. If you have people who only listen, again, share that Spotify link and the Apple Podcast link. You can always find me on Instagram at So There's That Podcast, where I'm posting so many different shorts. Oh, I'm also posting shorts and stuff on TikTok now at She. So, you know, there's a lot of stuff that I don't put on this platform because there's so many shows coming out and I'm so busy, but I still want to make sure that I get some reviews and some recaps and stuff out for y'all for those shows as well. So if you do not follow me on Instagram or TikTok, then you need to be following me. TikTok at She and Instagram at So There's That Podcast. And of course, where I thrive the most, on Twitter at She, where I'm having so many conversations in a few different fandoms, talking about everything from Women's History Month to adult animation. Like, we does it all, okay? And with that, I will catch y'all in the next one.